the opportunity to come back as a head coach is something that I really look forward to.
It's extremely important to us to have those Fort McMurray roots playing for the Oil Barons.
It was a huge honor getting the call from the board and the president.
This marks a strong history and commitment from localization here in Fort McMurray. Today marks an exciting time here for our community and the Fort McMurray Oil Barons. And before I begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank outgoing General Manager and Head Coach Sam Clausen and his assistant coach Matt Lidgett for their time served here while in the community and the excitement that they brought to the Oil Barons environment each and every day that they spent here at the Center Fireplace Arena. On behalf of the Board of Directors, our executive, and the staff here at Center Fireplace, I'd like to take this time to welcome our new coaching staff and former coaching staff, Jesse Matson as our assistant general manager, our new assistant coach, Brendan Ralph, who's local to Fort McMurray, and incoming and no stranger to Fort McMurray and the Oil Barons organization, head coach and general manager, Tom Keca. Tom's history with the organization speaks for itself. Obviously, former coach of the year, former alum and player, has served in pretty much every capacity here while time served here with the Oil Barons organization. It's a tremendous amount of momentum as we build this season in our preparations as we built a significant bid submission to host the Centennial Cup in May of 2027. And building on the momentum from the 2000 Royal Bank Cup that was hosted here in Fort McMurray and on record is one of the most successfully attended and from revenue generation by Hockey Canada standards. So we're quite exciting to hear later into June 5th to 7th, we should hear if we were successful bidders around the Centennial Cup and the award thereof. This marks a strong history and commitment from localization here in Fort McMurray. Obviously, to build on Jesse and the work that he's done to help recruit and formalize the team going into the 26-27 season, bringing back two locals to help serve as the other members of our coaching staff marks a significant time in Oil Baron history. With that, I will now turn it over to new head coach and general manager, Tom Keca.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank the Oil Baron organization, the board of directors, the executive for this opportunity. It's excited to be home. This is, a full circle for me in terms that I took a lot of pride being a young player growing up, playing, minor hockey in Fort McMurray. I was very fortunate to play with the Oil Barons. I was an assistant coach and now, the head coach. Believe strongly in second chances. I was the head coach once. We've had a little bit of a break. I think it was an 8-year break. And now, the opportunity to come back as a head coach is something that I really look forward to. I understand, most importantly, the role that the Oil Barons play in our community, but also the role that the community plays in the Oil Barons. Our goal here would be to establish a team that mimics, what our community is about. And we're a passionate group of hardworking people that like to come and support local sports. So our goal is to make sure that we can, provide a product that everybody can be proud of. One of the biggest things, in coaching that you get involved with is just building relationships. And I think it's phenomenal, the outpouring of support that I've had in the last 24 hours in terms of former players reaching out. And it doesn't matter whether it's from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, the amount of people that reach out, is really why you coach. And I think that one of the values that we try and instill in all of our players here in Fort McMurray is that it's very important to give back to the community and to get involved in the community. So I think it's, outstanding when I see individuals like Chris Steedsman, Shay Laurent, Tommy Fitzpatrick, local players, Nick Roberts that have local kids now coming through our system and they're involved in minor hockey and other sports, but also supporters of the Oil Barons. I also like it when you go around the province and you run into people like Kent Beagle and Ben Stokes and Walter Prodzik, who all are at that stage of their lives where they have young kids and they're instilling that leadership and mentorship for their kids and other kids and all carrying that Oil Baron pride. Once an Oil Baron, always an Oil Baron is our motto, and that's something that we're going to live by. I'm extremely looking forward to the opportunity to working with Brandon. Brandon is a player that played here, was captain of our team during the after the wildfire. Out of the 19 years that I've been involved in hockey, one of the 5 best people that you can be involved with. So the opportunity to be involved with Brandon and hopefully have him come along and mentor him It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out you've got an old bull and you've got a young stallion here. So we want to get this young stallion ready to one day hopefully take over this organization. So once again, I look forward to to camp and through the summer, but also just seeing everybody back through the course of the year, and we encourage everybody to get involved with this in our Oil Baron movement. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. I'll now turn it over to local and former captain Brandon Ralph.
Yeah, obviously, thank you, President Boudelier and the whole executive for bringing me on. Myself and my family are very excited to be here again. How do you cap off what Coach Keca said about being local, growing up playing here, now having an opportunity to represent in a different capacity, being a coach. So very excited. I think the organization's going in a great direction, and very excited to be a part of it.
Thanks, Brandon, and welcome aboard. And Jesse, maybe a comment from yourself, joining a rather new crew, but not so unfamiliar to you.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Brandon working as a Northern Scout for us last season. I've had the ability and the opportunity to work with Brandon this last season and developed a great relationship with him and Tom as well. So very thankful to stick around and work with these two guys, and looking forward to what's to come.
Thank you. And that concludes today's welcome address on both our new coach and general manager, Tom Keca, and assistant coach, Brandon Ralph, assistant general manager, Jesse Matson.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to open the floor to some questions that we have for the coaching team. So first question, Tom, what does it mean to come back to Fort McMurray, to the Oil Barons organization right now? Why is this moment in time so important to you?
I think that, as I mentioned, I remember coming to, it used to be called the Thickwood Heights Arena. I was a fan growing up, and then the opportunity to play for the Oil Barons and now be in a position where you can lead the team. It's something that we take a lot of pride in. I think that the organization has really taken some strides in some positive, in a positive direction. I think you need a little bit of stability in order to continue to move forward, and hopefully I'll provide a little bit of that. But I understand how important it is to get involved, whether it's in schools, whether it's in different, charity work with minor hockey and in all facets. Being an Oil Baron is not, just playing on a Friday and a Saturday night. It's a 24-hour job, and we look forward to doing that.
Thank you. And I'm sure the community is looking forward to seeing those roots throughout the season. I know last year's season, we started to see quite a bit more of that. And with your leadership, I know the community will continue to see that. My next question for you, Brandon, former player now coming back as assistant coach. Can you speak to what that means to you?
Very, very important. Obviously, it was a huge honor getting the call from the board and the president and the organization for this role. Switching now to a coaching role, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to still try to bring my same personality and energy and intensity. So I don't think that'll ever change. But now just being back at home again and working with these young guys, it wasn't so long ago. So to be a fresh mind in it and someone who I guess has more recently done it, try to bring that energy.
That's wonderful to hear. And that energy, and you mentioned your personality, I think those are all pillars of culture. What is the culture going to be for this team? So, we'll start with Tom, Jesse. I'd like to hear from you, Andrew. Speak a little bit to me about culture.
Well, again, the Oil Barons will mimic what our community is about. And the community is about, just some honest, hardworking people that put in an honest effort and hope for the best. And I think that's what we're going to do. We'll try and instill a style of play that, we're hard, we're fast, we're trying to be physical, and we're trying to play a brand that people can get behind. We understand that entertainment dollars, are tight, and you want the people to have a choice, and we want them to choose to come to the Oil Barons because they know they're going to come here on a Friday and a Saturday night with the production that Jerry puts on. It's a first-class organization from the players to the coaching staff to the support staff to everybody. So we want something that the community can rally behind.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think when we're looking at recruits, I think times have changed, and we want to build connections with our recruits and with our prospects. And so, the reality is that there's a lot more good hockey players out there than there is opportunity at the junior level. And so we want to figure out, who those kids are that are putting in the extra effort and continue to keep building our program strong. And so that's what will separate kids at the next level, the kids that put the extra work in and the kids that can build connections with staff and other players. And so we'll continue to strive to find those players.
And I think from a board perspective, our job is simply to be able to eliminate the excuse and have all the means to provide at the highest level and perform at the highest level. the business side of the organization really has to lean in and make sure that they have all of the necessary things to be able to perform at the highest level and be able to create that atmosphere inside this rink that teams just don't want to visit.
Thank you. Next question for Jesse. So we know you're focused on recruiting players for a competitive team. Can you speak a little bit about how you're going to balance talent with local players?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, it's no secret we want Fort McMurray born players to play for the Oil Barons, and that's their goal from young kids. And it's, we'll strive to continue to find those players that can come in and play a role. And so at the end of the day, we want the best players possible to play for the Oil Barons, but it's extremely important to us to have those Fort McMurray roots playing for the Oil Barons. So we'll continue to balance both, and we'll continue to have great hockey players on our team.
And speaking to the importance of that community connection and that we aren't just Fort McMurray, we're the regional municipality, Wood Buffalo. Tom, if you could speak a little bit about how MOB intends to recognize that region, that, we aren't just Fort McMurray Oil Barons, we are part of, we are spending time in Anzac, Janvier. What's your plan for that this season?
Yeah, I know that in previous years, we've had days where we've gone out to Fort McKay and we've run practices, and we got to, visit the Elder Center and been out in schools. We've been out to Anzac and Janvier and things like that. So it is important, as you mentioned, for us to understand that it's not just about Fort McMurray, it's about our surrounding area. And, the more people that we can get out to and reach and spread the McMurray Oil Baron name, the better off that we're going to be.
How much does the possibility of Fort McMurray hosting the Centennial Cup add excitement to this opportunity, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to change the outlook that you have and the players that you're going after. Our first thing is, if we are fortunate enough, we still want to win our way into the Centennial Cup. We don't want to backdoor anything. So for us, it's about, not only finding good hockey players, but good individuals as well. So it will alter the, our plans. But again, our main goal is to try and put the most competitive team on the ice night in and night out.
In the event that we are successful for this bid, this community was an amazing host in 2000. We were successful in winning the cup then. Fast forward to the potential of us hosting again this year. Andrew, can you speak to what that means for Fort McMurray?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, especially in May month, to significantly showcase our region and really what we as a community are. I know that social media and media in general and, economics and political sort of turbulence sometimes paints a horrible picture of our region. This is much different than that. I think this is a community where 10 provinces are represented across the country. We get to showcase our region, all the great facilities, all the great community partners that we have, the amount of First Nations and First Nation membership within our community. I think it's a real opportunity to show exactly what Fort McMurray and the RMWB can do on a national scale. So I think it's, I'm going to be close to my phone the weekend of June 5th to 7th because I'm fairly excited with the opportunity that presents itself.
So as we wrap up here, Tom, is there one message that you'd like to share with fans?
Well, I mean, I think, it's always an exciting time of year. It's time for change, but, I encourage everybody, call the Oil Baron office, get your season tickets. You want to get good seats because when the announcement hopefully is in our favor June 5th, you're going to want first right of refusal on some great seats to see some high quality junior A action in our province.